Every morning seems just the same old routine. Blowing trees, writing these bars, line after line, mining for a diamond, but a dime is what I find. Hiding from the truth by simply coasting through these hard times with green, even though I'm feeling blue. But I gotta face the facts, girl, you know that it's true. And maybe what I'm supposed to do is not to get so close to you. But these days the only things that seem great are fading away. And the only time I feel home is when I'm alone or far away. But the road call says the wind blows, 10 missed calls on my flip phone, so it stays closed. Staring out my window while my mind slowly goes off into my headphones. Hoping that the dough will be worth it for the show, but who knows? Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day. And there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change. No, we're never gonna change. And day after day, it's just the same old thing. Working class life, and yes, it surely will bring a food to the table and a roof when it rains. But for the most part, you're just doing the same thing. A part of a machine with a ball and a chain. You try to be happy, yet all you feel is pain. It's a shame to use your brain and know that someone never changed. But if insanity's the game, then you can take my hand and play. Life has a rhythm that I ride to, and you can come along if you would like to. And I can show you what it's like to walk in my shoes, to learn how to love just like I do. Look me in the eye and you will find truth. I'm testifying to the lying in my mic booth. And you're hating on me 'cause I ain't
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
All right, we are up and running. Come on in. It is time to have a show. Welcome, welcome. Today is the 31st, the last day of May, and you are watching and listening to Kicking It with Koz. I am not Koz, I am Owl.
And I'm Koz, and guess what tomorrow is?
What is tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the beginning of the 6th level of Jumanji.
Okay.
It's the 6th level, which means riots.
Oh.
We made it to the end of May. And tomorrow begins the 6th level.
Okay.
Thought it was going to be like murder hornets or something like that, but no. No, the coronavirus is fading out, and that curve has gone down considerably. So now we have this media-induced race war.
Okay. Well, onwards and upwards. Go ahead.
It's kind of nice how they call them protesters.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm all for protesting. I mean, protest. You don't like something, protest. That's great.
Exactly.
The very minute you break a window or pick up a rock and throw it at a police officer, all bets are off, man. The entire world, especially in the United States, had Minnesota's back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, damn it, I've seen that video of those 4 cops, and I'm just like, dude, these guys did something bad. There needs to be an investigation, and there will be.
Yes.
And let justice run its course. But then, they started lighting buildings on fire. Mattress firm. Come on, man. What did they do?
To me, okay, I get that they're angry because, yeah, I mean, black or white, I'm sorry, they were wrong for the guy was wrong for putting his knee on his neck. I mean, I understand getting someone down, but the minute you have them handcuffed, you can move your knee to somewhere else where you're not killing someone or pinching off or anything like that. You could have easily done that. Peaceful protests, I understand, but going to the lengths, and this isn't just This isn't Black Lives Matters. This is Antifa. This is a bunch of people trying to cause problems. Think about this. How long has it really been since we've had these problems?
What was that? The hands up, don't shoot riots.
Yeah, okay. The Obama years. They were trying so hard to cause unrest and a revolution. And then came Trump and jobs. People didn't have time. They were working. Well, all of a sudden during the COVID, people aren't necessarily working, so what do they have time to do? Go around and cause harm. It kind of goes back to the thought of, that there are, people need to be working when they have time to protest. And hello, Holly, how are you doing? Hello, Heath. Hello, Ari. Hello, Albert. Hello, Kamobas. Hello, Branko. Hello, everybody. Good evening.
So we do have good news, though.
Yes.
We just don't like to dwell on the crap going on. So we launched, I guess, the two luckiest Americans got to leave the planet, at least for a little while, on a rocket ship built by SpaceX. And they're now at the International Space Station.
Yeah. I mean,
the last time we did that was, 11 years ago?
Yeah, almost 11 years ago.
In a very, very long time. I'll bet you that International Space Station just smells lovely.
No kidding, right? Feet.
feet and farts.
Exactly. You have to worry about the good and the bad, what's getting to us and what's not getting to us. People forgot about that whole launching thing, and they shouldn't. That's important. We have our space program back. We are moving forward again. Speaking of space program, Space Force.
Man, I started watching that, and it was they're very short. They're like 30-minute segments, 30-minute episodes. It's funny, dude. I found myself laughing out loud. I mean, because it's just if you're a veteran or if you're even active duty, you can watch that, and there are these very subtle little jokes that a service member will get. For example, they said, we're going to welcome, this is General, what's his name? The new 4-star.
A
character played by Steve Carell.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, this is the newest branch of the military. And then the damn, the commander of the Coast Guard says, well, at least the Coast Guard isn't last in line anymore. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're still.
Oh, God. They dissed on the Coast Guard so hard.
And he kind of walks in. The Coast Guard general kind of walks, or admiral walks in to go to a meeting, and they're like yelling at him. And he like gets all stuff. Sad and he leaves.
Literally throwing stuff at him.
Right? It is really, I think it's really, really good. Some of it's kind of, with the acting, the writing is pretty good.
Yeah.
I found myself laughing out loud. I really, really like Steve Carell's daughter's character, Emily.
Yeah.
I saw her and I'm like, damn, where have I seen her before? She is like a doppelganger for, oh geez. I was just thinking about this right before the damn Anne Hathaway. Anne Hathaway. She looks exactly like a very young Anne Hathaway.
Oh, Anne Hathaway. Okay.
She's funny. She's goofy. She's just quirky, just like Anne Hathaway's character in The Devil Wears Prada, and what's that other one where she's the queen of, or the princess of some. I forget. I forget. But anyway, she's really, really good. She's a really good actor.
Welcome, Arturo. No, it was fun. I actually had someone bring it to my attention, the dance that he does in the first episode. People were saying, that's you! And it's like, I don't know.
I kind of thought the same thing. And then a listener sent a clip of it, and I had already seen it, because that little dance, I think, is in the first or the second episode. I think it's Heath. It's on Netflix. Anyway, I saw that dance. It's in the first or second episode, and I'm like, man, it's kind of like owls dancing during break time.
Uh-huh.
And then Steve Carell also dances in what is it, Evan Bruce Almighty? No, it's Evan Almighty.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the dance. So yeah. That's your dance. I think he stole it from you.
You know, that was actually brought up. People, someone actually said, you know, you need to see if you can go after him for taking your dance.
Put a copyright on those moves.
But that, you know, it was actually a good a show in the fact that they seem to have poked fun at everyone. Not as much as I would have hoped with the Democrats, but they did poke a little bit of fun at because they did a House committee, budget committee. Oh my gosh!
And there's a character on the House
AOC
budget committee is just like AOC. This actor has her voice and her mannerisms down. It's hilarious. It's really, really funny.
I don't even remember the name they gave her, but it was mocking her name.
it was a triple hyphenated something.
Yeah,
Cabrera.
but it was fun, and yes, I am coughing. I apologize. My allergies
he doesn't
are up,
have
guys.
the Rona.
My allergies are up. That's for sure. Branco, no. Okay, I'll tell you what. If you guys are nice, at the end of the break, I will do my dance as I haven't done it in a week or two. So
you did it last week. You were dancing.
Did I? You're right.
No, it was
I did.
The week before that, because I was with you the entire 2 hours last week.
Yeah, that's right. Because we had our guest last week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is a funny show. I'll give it that. It definitely. You have to look for the subtleties. They do definitely make fun of all sorts of things. The part I was laughing at is they're actually trying to make Air Force look like they're actually
like they're war hawks. You know?
Yeah, he just went and sit there going.
But the Air Force Center is like, well, let's drop a bomb on it. You know, everything that their solution to everything is just bomb the crap out of it.
And they tried to make them look big and brawny, and you're just sitting there going, no. Most Air Force guys I know, that was not their look. But it was funny.
Yeah, if you got, I mean, they're really short episodes. The episodes are about 30 minutes long each. I'm not sure how many total there is in the season, but it's worth it, man. You don't have to invest a lot of time in it. No. Excuse me. They poke fun. They do poke fun at everybody, including the president. And they, of all things, they poked fun at 1-star generals. Yeah. Generals being 1-star generals being the secretary to 4-star generals. So it was definitely good. It was definitely fun, and it is worth watching, just if anything, to pick it apart with humor. So that being said, how was your week, Mr. Koz? Oh, it was good. It was a super short week, man. I just had to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And you got a haircut. I did. That's why I was almost late today. Hello, Doc. Good to see you. You know, I usually get my haircut at Sport Clips. Yeah. But they're mandating that you wear a mask to go and get a haircut, and I'm not going to do that. So where'd you get one? Knockouts. Okay. It's just a men's salon, I guess. But they specialize in men's haircuts, so. Walked in there, and they cut my hair all nice and washed it a few times, and here I am. Wow. So you're not itching? No, I won't get a haircut without them washing my hair. Sure you're not itching? That little scratch in the back that just starting to crawl up the back of your head? You can't do that to me successfully. Ari, for them, Spaceman First Class, but they definitely they try to knock it off of the Air Force. It is funny, and of course, they wanted the rivalry, as apparently the Navy should be the ones in charge of it, and the Air Force thinks they're in charge of it. The Army wants nothing to do with it. Army and the Marines just kind of look at it going, no. But all the stereotypes are there. I mean, the army guy that's in there. When they were having I don't know if you've gotten this far, but they're having a competition.
Yes,
it's kind of like a paintball thing.
Yes, it's the BBs.
Yeah, but the guy who's a representative of the army who is officiating the contest, he's overweight and he doesn't fit into his uniform very well, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the army.
Of all things.
The Marine general is always wanting to kill somebody, and you've got the backing of the United States Marine Corps. Need some people dead.
And he's definitely he's that one comedian, and I'm trying to remember because he was actually in a series, and I can't remember the series.
The guy that's the Marine or the Coast Guard?
Marine. He
because I think the security guard, the one who's sweet on M. Yeah. The guy's dumb as a box of hammers. Mm-hmm. He kind of looks like they're related. they look the same. They
Excuse me. Yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it.
Let's look that up and get some names out here.
But no, I'm trying to remember because he was actually a part of a series where it was back in the 90s. The guy, the Marine general. Anyway, it's definitely, if you've got Netflix, it's definitely something that might be worth watching for a good laugh.
Lisa Kudrow is in it. John Malkovich is in it. Fred Willard is in it. I mean, a lot of big names. Mm-hmm. Diana
there was
Silvers
a lot of big names.
And she was in another, like a coming of age.
Who?
Diana Silvers, who plays Erin. She was in another movie called, I think, Booksmart. Mm. That was her big break, I guess. But I mean, John Malkovich is just awesome. He's awesome in everything he does. So he takes his John Malkovich character that he plays in like Red and all the other movies that he's in, and kind of twists them all into one. And he's kind of a peacenik guy, man. He's a what they would consider a typical scientist who is definitely a tree hugger and a peace believer. Mm-hmm.
Hello, Spanky. Good to see you.
Oh my gosh, Spanky's back.
Spanky's in the room.
He was on a road trip for a while.
Yeah, I got Mount Rushmore behind me. I actually went there a couple years back. This is pictures I've took.
You were on one of the construction crews that actually carved Mount Rushmore, aren't you?
Old man jokes already, huh? Patrick Walburn, who played the Marine General. Yeah, he's a comedian. He's had his own. He's been in, I know of 2 series where he was actually a comedian. He was in those series for a long term. So, but no, again, it's just for fun, and you know, you got to have fun, especially with what's going on right now. Someone mentioned it. These riots that are going on. What little Koz and I were to talk beforehand, both of us agree. It's not that we're against. I mean, what happened that caused the riots? I agree. It was not proper. The police officers were not. I don't know where their head was. You don't do that. But going to rioting, going to damaging private people's, personal their businesses, that helps no one.
I mean, nothing cures racial problems better than a brand new flat screen TV and some liquor from the liquor store, right? Mm-hmm. It's just crazy. This is orchestrated.
It is orchestrated. And they're talking curfews here and there, and
Dude, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of the major metropolitan areas are having like 7, 8 o'clock curfews. I think Dallas is having a 7 p.m. curfew.
And for those of you that like socialism and communism, here's what it looks like. Curfews.
I drove through downtown Fort Worth yesterday, and it wasn't empty, but it wasn't out of control.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. And I right now, you've got a bunch of students and a bunch of people that aren't working at the moment. And like I said before, Trump made it possible for the people to work. You haven't seen really any riots since he got into office. He put people back to work. There were jobs to be had. They said that there was like a shortage of workers at this point. And then you have the COVID. Okay, all of a sudden you got these people sitting at home getting restless, getting angry, not being happy, and then you have this happen. And boom, everybody comes out of it. Now, I'm going to be a smart aleck to all the media outlets that are very biased. Where's your social distancing with these riots?
Right. And I think I posted that. I said, it's just it's the fact that a week ago you were considered to be like a self-centered narcissist if you wanted to, go out and socialize and go back to work and everything like that. But now it's okay to gather by the thousands.
Exactly.
Just kind of shows you how much the media manipulates the masses.
The first thing out of my mouth when I saw that they were rioting, I looked at my wife. I said, "Where's the social distancing?"
Some of them are wearing masks and whatnot, but I think that's just to hide their identities.
Exactly. They're
be safe.
They're using an excuse, and you're just sitting there going, "Gee, they already have masks because they were told to have them." So you can't arrest them for having masks because at that point they're going to sit there and say, "Well, I didn't want to catch COVID," but at the same time, during protests, you're not supposed to be wearing masks because it's considered, then at that point, you could be a possible aggressor. So it's like, okay, this is out of control. And right, Ari, I mean, they're saying Arizona has curfew, but there's no reason to because it's not like they have anything like that going on.
Well, they did. Tucson was bad. Let's see, not Mesa, but Scottsdale. Scottsdale had some stuff going on, and even Kama Boss was saying Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, and these places are actually hubs with students. These are okay. Des Moines, Iowa. That's college, and so even if the kids aren't there, the university teachers are, and those guys are old protesters. That's what they live on. Okay. Holly says Nashville has an 8 p.m. curfew tonight. That's just it. The people that are protesting are students and people right now, and I guess we can say we've proven it because it's been how long since we've had protests? Since the Obama years. The minute Trump hit it, he hit the ground running, he got jobs, people were working. Now that COVID has made it so that people are home, all of a sudden we have riots. What's that mean? If people have jobs, they're less likely to riot. If now all of a sudden people have time to riot because they're not at school, they're not at work. They aren't thinking that way. At some point, you have to look at that. And
well, even the governor of Minnesota was saying that of all the people that they arrested, there were provocateurs from other parts, either other parts of the state or other parts of the country altogether. They were imported to stir the pot, and then President Trump says that he's going to label Antifa as a terrorist organization. Or a domestic terrorism organization.
And, I think he should. Hello, Gigi Watt. All of a sudden, we watched a man die. Gigi, it's not that I condone what the police officers did, because I don't. But I don't condone meeting a stupid act by a bad apple of a police officer with rioting and causing businesses to go out of business. Because, and I'm going to say this because my wife does work in the insurance industry. Most small businesses are underinsured. They can't, having a riot go through, they can't afford that. And some insurance doesn't even cover that type of stuff. So they're on their own with it.
I did see some good stuff. I mean, if good stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a protest that had turned poorly.
Yeah.
And there were some people within that protest. I don't even know what state it was in. It might have been New York City. But there was a police officer that got separated from his squad. And some of the protesters surrounded that officer and protected him from the people who were rioting. And I thought that was pretty awesome.
Well, and that's just it. Most of the protesters that go there are not about the violence. They're bringing people in to start these because they want violence. They want riots. They want people to rise up against the government so that they can do what they did in Egypt. That's how the Brotherhood of whatever that's highly Islamic got into power for that while, is because they came in and just swooped in and started talking pretty. Domestic terrorists are significantly different than Antifa. Anarchists are extreme free speech advocates, just like hackers believe in freedom of data and less government surveillance. Okay, Antifa, unfortunately, they are domestic terrorists. And you can sit there and try to say, well, they don't. No, they do. There are places where they have strongholds, like in Oregon, in Portland, where the police won't even go against them.
Oh, Gigi, I was thinking the same thing. This is like what we're seeing now is it's like a Rage Against the Machine. It's like a video, man. It's like, if you listen to any of their music, I'm not sure. I don't think you're a consumer of Rage Against the Machine, but it's all anti-establishment. It's pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
It's good music. It's really, really good music. Talented guys.
But the problem is when you pull stuff like that and people don't, those of us who are in the service, we know our country, as messed up as it is actually a very good country compared to a lot of countries out there. A lot of countries out there are socialists, are communists, and we've lived in them, and they're horrible. And they're even ones that are trying to be democratic. You think we have corruption? They're much worse. We actually try. There are, right now, with the elections coming, there are forces trying to make it so that things get out of control, and they want people to go, oh, government, come in and save us, so that big government can take over. And unfortunately, that's what the riots are truly about. They're not about the police officer. That's what they want you to think. They want you to think the police officer is a symbol of truly what happens with our police force. And it isn't. And it's sad that way.
Even my brother's a police officer. And he's just saying, man, this is just making going to work a lot more. He says, it's easy to go to work. It's just the job with things like this going on just make things much, much more difficult. No matter what you do, it always appears, and appearances mean a lot. That you're overstepping your bounds.
Oh, yeah.
What you're doing is enforcing the law.
Everybody, even if you're doing it right, they're going to sit there and put, and they got their phone, and I got you on my phone. It's like, okay, good for you. I'm doing my job.
They all walk around with cameras.
Yeah, it's like they're, ooh, look, I got something. I'm gonna put this up, thinking they're the next Pulitzer Prize winner of some story. 99.9% of all police out there are doing their job, and they're doing it right.
The problem with that is there's that 0.1%.
Exactly.
It's that 0.1%, but it's those other police officers that kind of they don't want to stir the pot. They turn a blind eye. They don't say anything. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
And that makes them just as guilty. And there's a lot of that. I'm not going to say there's not.
Oh, there is.
There's good, and it's like being in the military or being in any company. There's good and there's bad. The good far outweigh the bad, but there's still some bad apples in there.
And we all know this. In the military, we can be just as bad because we see something happen in one of our military brothers or sisters does something, and it's like, we don't want anybody to know. Let us take care of it inside. Don't get away from us with the cameras. We'll deal with it, behind the building.
There's a lot of mistrust.
Yes.
There's a lot of distrust. They're like, okay, will they really take care of it? Apparently, this officer, who was kneeling on the neck of George Floyd, had been investigated and reprimanded a lot. I mean, a lot, like 10, 15 times of separate incidences.
And it makes you wonder what reason he hadn't been removed yet.
Exactly.
And I can tell you why. Because this is something that's come to my attention a number of times, not just with police, but with teachers. It's usually the union. The union makes it so hard to remove someone that a lot of times the supervisors don't even try. Because I knew someone who was in the teachers union. He said that it could take between 9 months to a year and a half to remove someone if you doggedly pursue them, if they're union. Even if they have them dead to right, they still can't remove them.
Well, you remember the Parkland shooting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Down in Florida? There was a police officer there, Brian Miller, and Scott Peterson were some of the officers that were there. That Miller was, I think he was completely fired, but he's being reinstated with back pay.
Yeah, and you just sit there and have to shake your head. The guy didn't go
do
in.
anything bad. He didn't beat anybody's ass. I mean, I think he just failed. He failed to act.
He failed to do anything. He just sat there.
Yeah.
He didn't try. And I've heard of, and this teacher I know, he said, yeah, we even had he was caught dead to rights as a pedophile. Pornographic material, caught with a student, all sorts of stuff. And it took them a year and a half to get him to where, okay, they suspended him, but they had to pay him. And they had to go through a review. Then they had to go through an appeal. Then they had to go through all these things. He finally was fired a year and a half later where they could finally stop paying him. I just sit there going, if the guy's caught dead to rights, why in the world would you have to keep paying him? But the union mandated it.
Well, it's whatever's in the contract.
And
we had a guy. I used to work in a union shop in the aviation field.
Yeah.
And we had a guy. We get we're monitored and we're governed by the FAA, so we have random urinalysis tests.
Yeah.
So there was one day, it's just like, okay, you three go down and get your urinalysis. So we go down there. One of the guys showed up to work smelling like alcohol. They gave him a breathalyzer and he blew above whatever the minimum was. I have no idea what it is. So they basically they made him be a janitor. He was a flight mechanic, and he was still earning flight mechanic pay, sweeping floors. Jeez. Swept floors for a month, and then he was back on the flight line turning wrenches. Jeez. Because that was what the negotiations were as far as the union goes.
And yeah, GG, that's just it. They have recourses that they do, Instead of, because to them it's all about, if they start policing up their ranks, at that point, they have to admit that they have bad actors, people that shouldn't be there. And that's the last thing the union wants, because the union is supposed to be there supposedly for the people, not caring that the people are supposed to be either teaching and being honorable among children, or policing up and serving the community. It's like all of a sudden those things don't matter. Unfortunately, the police officer in Minnesota, or in Minneapolis, he had a bad history. He should have, at the very least, the others should have looked at him and said, "Dude, get off him."
There were 3 other officers standing around.
Exactly.
And not one of them did anything. Not one of them said anything, mentioned anything.
And they should have.
It's sickening.
So, do I condone that? No. But I don't. But on the other side, I don't condone violence. Because he killed someone, it doesn't mean you turn around and become violent.
So he has been arrested, and I believe the charge is a third degree murder.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what, and the union is actually trying to block that. But no, to me, that at least they're doing their job. And it's not like Trump condones it. Trump is actually saying he needs to be prosecuted.
I think there's universal support for prosecuting at least that one officer.
Exactly.
But when you're lighting your town on fire, that support kind of wanes. You're just like, come on, guys.
So, with the protests that are going on, and the one thing I was actually looking forward until that happened, I was actually looking forward to this week talking, because I have been noticing things are getting better. Things are opening up. We're actually getting to the point where now jobs, people are coming back to work. We're not fully there, but we're getting there. And I'm laughing because a lot of places are saying, "Oh, well, there's a spike in COVID," and it's like, you don't know if that's a spike from them going back to work, or the fact that we're testing more.
We're testing a lot, dude. I think the last numbers I saw were upwards of 17,200,000 tests.
We're testing, and not only that, you're going to have a small up. No matter what you do, you go back to work. If you don't do it, if you do it right, no matter what you do, you're probably still going to have some people that end up getting it. Yes, but we can't hide. We can't hide from people. We can't wait till there's a vaccine, because they're even saying the best vaccine that they've got right now may help 50%.
Stefan says they're not testing in South America. Why?
Well, it comes down to cost. In South America, their healthcare system isn't the best, and on top of it, the testing and everything, you have to have a machine that can put something like that together.
I got a call from the city of Fort Worth.
Mm-hmm.
They said, if you are in a high risk, if you're in a high risk category, like if you're over 65, or if you work with healthcare folks, or there was a whole list, and it's pretty much everybody. You can go get a free COVID-19 test.
Yeah. their background. Okay. Okay. We were just given the police officer got charged with count 1, third degree, perpetrating imminently dangerous act and inviting with depraved mind. Second count, manslaughter, second degree, culpable negligence, creating unreasonable risk. And the medical examiner, that's interesting. The autopsy revealed no physical finding that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. That's interesting.
You know what I was asking when this first came up? I'm like, oh my gosh, this police officer, apparently killed this guy. I'm like, okay, what was the reason that police made contact with George Floyd?
Yeah.
I don't know that if that's ever been answered yet. Not that it matters. It's just it would be good to know the whole story.
And I agree with that. But what Chip, with front desk just giving us that information, that is actually kind of interesting. There's no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation, which would mean that at that point he didn't kill him. That's what the implication is.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a second opinion on that.
I agree, but that's really kind of interesting, nonetheless. I don't know. But getting back to COVID, I mean, at this point, people, like I said, I said last week, I'm actually going to be able to go out and enjoy. Okay, I just had to check something. I'm actually going to be able to go out and enjoy camping. Things are opening up again. We'll start seeing things happen in the next month or so where more and more people go back to work. It's something that we can look forward to. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm in Texas, and we've been open up for about a month now. May 8th, I think May 8th, the day that we officially opened up. All of these businesses that were normally closed, like hair salons, nail salons, and fill in the blank. It's all the people that didn't work at like a big box store or whatever. We've been opening up. For about a month. I did go grocery shopping this weekend. Store was packed. It was a normal day.
Yeah.
Traffic's horrible again, so that's normal. It's everything's back to normal. My parents live up in a rural Wisconsin. I really hate that word, rural. R-U-R-A-L. It's just a rural. They live in a small town in Wisconsin, and they're like, They can't tell the difference since this thing began because it's just a small town.
Yeah.
But they drive down to Chicago to see my brothers and their families, and it's getting packed again, busy.
Well, and that's a good thing. We're getting there again. I think that's what we need to start looking forward to. The one thing that I don't like that seems to be, it depends on what state you're in, but there are places now that are still talking like they are not going to open up schools come August, September. In other words, they're still talking, and we're not talking just college. They're still talking about kids not going to school.
My niece, she goes to Baylor University.
Yeah.
And her and her parents drove down to Waco, and they emptied out her dorm room. and they're not sure when they're going to be back.
And that's just it. At this point,
it's her first year. She's a freshman down in Baylor, and it's like, this is kind of a bummer of a first year. I guess it all depends on what your perspective is, because she went through the year, beginning in August, September timeframe, was getting off at spring break and never went back.
And the colleges have to account for that. In other words, okay, what are we going to do as far as classes? How are we? Do we finish them? Do we give them credit? Do we give them money back? And then on top of it, you have some states that are actually saying we're not going to start school up again come fall semester, and they're going as far as saying that for kindergarten, elementary, junior high, senior high, and you're just going. At what point? Because even the vaccination they're talking about is only going to be 50% effective. So at what point do you sit there and say, we're going to just have to move forward? We're going to have to just allow things to move forward and deal with it as it comes. The world is not going to be perfect, and you can't expect everything to be perfect every time.
No, I think, all the models of this disease were wrong. All the projections were wrong.
Yes.
Sure, a lot of people are infected globally. It's less than 1%. The death rate is low. Death. I'm not saying that if you have a family member that's passed away because of this, that sucks. That really sucks. But on a global scale, even just in the United States, it's relatively low. I think it's just you're doing yourself almost harm by not. Because of all the people that are sick because of this, a very, very small percentage of that small percentage are critical or serious. And there's a family of people that are susceptible to this respiratory disease.
Yeah.
But I think, really, we'll let the kids go back to school at all levels.
Well, in doing what they're talking about doing, the problem is, what are you doing to the parents? Because this goes back to having kids at home. What are you really doing? You're making it so. I'm sad to say, parents rely on school so that they can work, so that they only have to pay a couple hours of childcare, things of that nature. Now all of a sudden, that was brought up with my wife's work. They're sat there and they said that because they're starting to talk about how they're going to be bringing people back in. And
if you have guidelines and you stick to those guidelines, it's really, really hard. As far as kids, elementary type age, that's like herding cats, man. It's really, really hard.
Exactly.
But kids can be trained. I'm speaking about children like they're dogs, but they can learn, and they learn the new way to do things. They're smart.
Yes.
Wash your hands. Don't lick your friends and whatever else.
Exactly. But that's the unfortunate part is at this point, like the state I'm in, unfortunately, is under a governor that enjoys his control, and he's talking about maybe not even opening up our regular schools come August, September also. He's one of those governors that's waffling with it. And there's a lot of people sitting there that work at my wife's company. And they've said, we don't know what we're supposed to do because we have to, we can't afford 40 hours of daycare. In the summer, we save up for that. and we have programs, and then we take time off, so we kind of make it so that we only end up paying for so much. But if this keeps going on, we don't have that. And the companies are put in a bad place because they still have to have their workers.
Yeah, I mean, my company is really super awesome and very, very flexible as far as people, because there's husband and wives, there's single parents, and my company's giving them a lot of latitude to get their kids to and from where they need to go, or to stay home one day while their other spouse goes to their job.
Yeah, yeah.
They're really accommodating.
Well, that's just it. Your company can be. Not all companies can be, not because they're just some are mom and pops, but then also it's the job. Some jobs, at some point, you have to show up. It's the job that they applied for. It's the job that they're supposed to be doing. And so the company's put in the position, and what do they do with that person?
We've got a lot of our engineers that are working from home. A lot of our software guys and ladies are working from home. They'll come into work once or twice during the week, but it's been good, and we're continuing to get things done.
Yeah.
Of course, all of us, everyone that turns wrenches, and my job is at the laboratory. We're getting stuff done, and we're keeping our distance away from everybody else and washing our hands, and they got just vats of hand sanitizer and masks if we want them, and it's everybody is doing the right thing.
Hey, Road Tech, good to see you. So you know what I think needs to happen? And I'm saying this just for cause. I think those people that, like me, I'm 100% disabled, okay? I think those of us that, should go ahead and say, okay, we'll watch your kids. Right, Koz? You can do that. I mean, in the evening, you can watch someone's kids so they can work, right?
Well, I would be willing to help. I cannot alter my work schedule to accommodate someone else. I mean, I get home 6:30, 7 o'clock at night during the week.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll watch them for a couple hours.
But see, I've actually told my wife, if it wasn't for the fact, I would have, because I'm so compromised, I have to worry about it. I said I would tell my wife, you know what? Tell the parents, as long as they promise me they're not going out and doing stupid stuff, so they give it to their kids, go ahead and have their kids come over here. I don't mind doing stuff like that, and maybe that's something some of us should consider if you can. And I'm not telling you to, but there are going to be people right now that are going to try to. They're going to try to get back to work. We need to help them if we can. This is how we're going to get our economy rolling. I've always said on my Saturdays, you are one ripple in a lake, but that ripple is important. What you do is important. And if you can help someone so that they can get their life moving forward, what kind of a ripple does that cause? That kind of a positive ripple has an effect. Not just on you and that person, but on the fact that they are able to go to work, so the people around them will sit there and say, hey, that's really cool. Things like that. That's a positive effect. So
apparently my services have been requested. I need to go babysit Omen. I don't know if you know Omen. He's old. He's an OG WTF Radio. Oh, he used to host shows.
Really?
Years ago, yeah.
Wow.
Guy, we spent some time in Phoenix during the Warfighter Radio Awards.
Huh.
That was awesome.
Well, these are the things that we need to start thinking about. How can we help things move positively forward? My wife's company actually said, during the COVID, while the COVID's going on, if you can have a delivery from a mom and pop, not a franchise, once a week from a mom and pop sandwich store or something. Use your credit card, bring us the receipt, we'll reimburse you. Backing up local economy. Think about those things right now. The local economy is the one that's hurting the most, not the franchises. The local economy. Because the local economy are mom and pops.
And it's hard as a mom and pop to pivot. And they don't really have the flexibility that a Walmart has, or even like a Jimmy John's sandwich place has.
Exactly.
They have the capital where they can take a hit and they can sustain that hit. Or they were allowed to remain open. I don't know if all the states were like that, but they were all the restaurants were open here. For a long time, you had to get things to go.
Exactly. And some of them weren't prepared to be able to change and adjust. In other words,
or a small business that didn't have an online presence. All of a sudden, you went from a lot of sales to no sales.
Exactly.
For whatever goods or services that you provide. That's difficult to withstand. Especially when you sink, that is your lifeblood. That is how you feed your family. That's how you pay your bills. All of a sudden, you can't earn money to pay your bills. That sucks. That's a horrible position to be in.
Exactly, Ari sat there and said, remember those times back in the day when our parents kicked us out and told us to go play with our friends?
Yep.
A lot of parents don't feel safe doing that anymore. I mean, during something like this, that's the first thing my parents would have done. You can't go play with your friends, go play in your yard, and I could make a day of it. I had stuff that I could do, even if it was by myself. But they don't do that anymore, you know? I'm on the phone popping in and out, and Koz... Spanky. That is the type of thing we need to start considering, though, is how can we help get the economy going again? How can we do what it's going to take? Use a mom and pop. Go local if you can. The big franchises, they're getting the business, but the local, they're the ones that are not. We still have a local hardware store. He had to be closed. If he opens back up, that's where I'm going. There are some local...
a restaurant. They had just... It was a restaurant that just opened up. They hadn't really built a customer base. And in the beginning of all this, when everything was shutting down, they still prepared food, but they also prepared little care packages, and they would sell them. $30, you would get a couple of pounds of meat, some vegetables, rolls of toilet paper, and this all came in a sack.
Yeah,
it was really awesome. So I can't wait to visit that restaurant because they did things the right way, and they made an imprint on our local community. They're good folks, man. I can't wait to eat at their restaurant.
So this is the thing that start looking at the fact that we are opening up. Go look for local places if you can. Go to the local places. Help those local places get out of it, because that's how some people are employed. The big box stores, they only have so many people. The little places are the places that are going to be that we rely on for some of our employment also. The big box stores supply something, but so do the little ones, and that's what we need to consider.
Ari said that unfortunately the companies that have filed for bankruptcy may need bailouts, millions, possibly billions of dollars more, just like what happened to the auto industry. I agree with that to some point. The deal with the auto industry, they repaid their loan.
Yes,
and that's important. That's important. This isn't. I think they ought to be loans. I don't think they ought to be grants. I think a portion of it should be a grant, but I think if they need a loan to get back on their feet, then give them a very very favorable interest rate and
And do I believe in bailing out states? No.
No. That's a whole other conversation.
Oh, big time. But anyway, the big thing that take off from this hour is try to be positive and try to keep things moving forward positively in our economy. Look for the good things, the small places that need our dollars, because at this point, those places, there's a good chance they were, I know someone who was just making it. She's going to need a big shot in the arm as soon as she's allowed to fully open up. And because she was able to exist by doing, she was closed, but as long she did delivery of vitamins, but she was officially closed, so therefore a lot of her foot traffic was gone. Therefore, a lot of things that normally people would buy couldn't, because they couldn't remember it. Her income went down very quickly.
Yeah, and you lose the browsers, the people that just come in and look around, and then they just go, I think I want to buy this. That income is gone.
Exactly. And those are the things that we need to get out and do. We need to get out and start doing things again. Get out. Don't be scared. Don't be so scared as to make this your way of becoming a hermit. You don't need to do that. Get out and do things. It's that time of year to get out. Well, everybody, we are at the top of the hour.
So you're talking about good things. What kind of good things you got coming up in the second hour?
Okay, good things that are coming your way. We are going to have things like shops reopening in Europe and how people are scruffy and looking pretty untidy. Things being canceled. 100-year-old Russian who managed to beat the coronavirus. And normality coming back to Bangkok. A cat cafe reopens.
Yay, cats.
And, of course, crime going on in the United States as usual, along with all sorts of silliness just here and there. Someone's phone number accidentally being private phone number being given out during an ESPN broadcast. All
Awesome.
sorts of stuff.
I did read a story. I don't know if you have it in your stack of stuff, but there's a young girl who was on a Zoom conference to her school, and then mom's walking around in the backyard naked as a jaybird.
Oh, God. No, I wish I would have caught that one. That would have been fun. But it doesn't surprise me. People just don't think about that type of stuff when they are home. All right, everybody. Koz is going to go get some food and go to bed. He has to get up and work tomorrow.
I'm going to grill. I made some meatloaf the other day, and I'm going to grill a couple of chunks of meatloaf and have a couple meatloaf sandwiches. So we'll see how that goes.
There you go, Spanky. Meatloaf at Koz's house. Grilled meatloaf.
Come on over.
All right, everybody. We will be back in 10 minutes. Get up, walk around, do some push-ups, go get your snack, go to the bathroom, and we'll see you in 10, everybody. Any weird or wise advice you want to give everybody for the week, Koz?
I think I want to revisit that Bruce Lee quote. I thought was really cool. I can't find it anymore. There it is. Where is that? He said, don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy and can cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Change the way you speak about yourself, and you can change your life. What you're not changing, you're also choosing. Good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, everybody. We'll see you in 10. Shots.
Before coffee on a Tuesday, it's already been a bad week. My girls had a couple flats, and my dishwasher sprung a leak. From the kitchen,
her complaining. You know it just ain't cute anymore. I get the itch and start to drift towards the great outdoors. I smell the honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too in my garage. I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. I just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. Junk mail don't come out there. My phone won't ring. The only thing I want to hear is my reel with a big one on a string. That large mouth don't talk at all, and my weight just sinks away. Set him free, bring him home. One decision I gotta make. I smell the honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too in my garage. I got rods up on the wall. I got a John boat in the yard under a faded camo tarp. I need a reset to my spot. I hear the call. Just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone. I got my tackle box in the front seat and my best friend in the bed. Don't come looking for me, 'cause I ain't coming home till long after that sunset. I smell the honeysuckle blooms. I can see the red buds too. I got the rods in my garage down on the road. Threw my John boat in the truck, filled my camo cooler up. I hit the reset, hit my spot, and he did that call. I just gone fishing, let her know that I ain't gone. No, I ain't gone messing. I've just gone fishing. Let her know that I ain't gone.
Seems just the same old routine. Blowing trees, writing these bars, line after line, mining for a diamond, but a dime is what I find. Hiding from the truth by simply coasting through these hard times with green, even though I'm feeling blue. But I gotta face the facts, girl, you know that it's true. And maybe what I'm supposed to do is not to get so close to you. But these days the only things that seem great are fading away, and the only time I feel home is when I'm alone or far away. But the road call says the wind blows, 10 missed calls on my flip phone, so it stays closed. Staring out my window while my mind slowly goes off into my headphones, hoping that the dough will be worth it for the show, but who knows?
Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day, and there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change. No, we're never gonna change.
Man, day after day, it's just the same old thing. Working class life, and yes, it surely will bring a food to the table and a roof when it rains. But for the most part, you're just doing the same thing. A part of a machine with the ball and a chain. You try to be happy, yet all you feel is pain. It's a shame to use your brain and know that some will never change. But if insanity's the game, then you can take my hand and play. Life has a rhythm that I ride to, and you can come along if you would like to. And I can show you what it's like to walk in my shoes, to learn how to love just like I do. Look me in the eye and you will find truth. I'm testifying to the lying in my mic booth. And you're hating on me 'cause I ain't like you, and I ain't like you.
Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day, and there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change. No. gonna change. Yo, my life is like a movie that nobody's producing. I write the music but nobody is moving, cause don't nobody care and everyone's confused, and the characters changing, never reaching a conclusion. And I don't know if I'll make it to the end, cause all I know is after we begin, the wind shifts us in many different directions, like the pen lifts up off the paper, disconnected from anything we can feel, hear and see. And the words that I write mean something more than just to me. It's amazing that we've all grown accustomed to change, cause we can rearrange a pattern that's always been ingrained. They want us to grow up and stop acting how we want, but if you tell me I can't do something, I'll make sure it gets done. Yeah, let's go and roll it up, blow it all away. No sense in growing up, we laugh like kids all day, and there's nothing you can say that will ever make us change. No, we're never gonna change.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
I wonder what's inside your book. I wonder what's inside your book. Maybe there's astronauts and maybe there's aliens all inside your butthole. What's inside your butthole? I always want to know. What's inside your butthole? I always want to know.
All right, and with that, we are back. Hey, I have to show up a comedian on the episode or series Space Force. Come on. I'm doing it by sitting down. Anybody can do it standing up and make it look good. I'm doing it sitting down. We are back for the second hour of Kicking It with Koz. I am not Koz. I am Owl. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So did you all get up and do something? You sat there and saying all sorts of stuff and give me a hard time, but were you doing anything? Were you dancing, getting in there, whooping it up, doing some push-ups, something? Because I'll tell you what, sitting here for an hour, you need to get that blood flowing so you don't fall asleep. We don't want you falling asleep. Not yet. You still got an hour before bedtime. If you sit there and say, but I want to go to bed, then you're older than me. Because it ain't bedtime yet. Alrighty, everybody. We were talking about earlier, the last hour, about anywhere from Space Force, the series, to COVID, to getting back to the positive and helping out our local economy. I'm going to reinforce that. We do need to get back, and we do need to help out our local economy. We need to help out those who, unfortunately, were shut down. Stefan says, my bulldog is already passed out. Well, you know, bulldogs tend to pass out really easy, too. Every one of us has been doing things. I myself, yes, I've been watching Netflix, but I still get up and do things. Have you? And The second hour, we talk about positive things, we talk about silly things, and we do things to remind ourselves that we still have to be a part of our own lives. And that's something that I try very hard to reinforce. We can all sit there and talk about, you have a dry cough, quarantine. Thank you, David. No, believe it or not, I don't have a dry cough. I got crap going down the back of my throat. I have allergies galore, my friend. I have allergies galore. Because I do actually get outside. I actually go and do stuff outside, getting my RV ready to go out so I can camp. I go outside. I have an outdoor cat. I go out there and for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and just sit there and pet her and talk to her. She's old. She likes to hang around and just meow at me and look at me and think all sorts of weird thoughts about me. Who knows? But I do get out, and unfortunately, it is allergy season. So, if you would have seen me yesterday, my eyes were so red. It was not even funny. My allergies were just took over. And it's that time of season. So don't forget that allergy season is a thing and that it can actually affect you, because it will. Don't allow things to bring you down. Get out and do stuff just for your own sanity. Depression is a thing. Being inside a house, being scared will cause anxiety and depression. See, and Stefan says, been working on the garden, bananas, and also almost ready, and some radishes are doing halfway decent. That's very nice. See, 7 grows 5 different types of bananas. That's cool. My wife is actually getting, she has peas and tomatoes and catnip, along with some other stuff. We've got some teacup roses that we decided to take on this year. Doing things reminds you you're alive. Doing things reminds you, cat hair, wow, okay. That you can be a part of things. And you need to remember to do that. If you don't do it, you will regret it. Excuse me. So, it's getting towards that time where people are going back to work. And you need to remember that even going back to work, you still need to do stuff that you normally do in the summer. Like getting out. Fishing, camping. I mean, shoot, you all see me with my pictures of the different things that I do. And how do you think I got there? I went and experienced it. I went and did it. And you still can. Get out and do things. Remember that you can do things. Enjoy the fact that you can do things. I'm growing cherry tomatoes, banana peppers, and green onions and basil. See, Heath? That's great. That's the type of stuff that you should be thinking about. Getting out and just... Don't be locked inside. Those 4 walls will eventually crawl up to you and make you feel very much enclosed. And you don't need that. There's a lot of life to be had. You can still do it and enjoy it. And that's kind of all I really have to say about that. Be a part of life. I'm gonna do a story that I should have done a couple weeks ago, but we never got to it because, well, we've had guests and everything else. But this is kind of a funny story. You wouldn't think of it, but it actually happened. Cheating husband catches COVID virus after secretly taking mistress to Italy. A married man has reportedly caught COVID virus after a secret trip to Italy with his mistress and is now worried about his wife discovering the affair. Whoops. When it comes to cheating in marriage, things are always going to be messy. But when you add a global pandemic to the mix, things suddenly become even more complicated. One man is currently panicking that his wife is going to discover his infidelity after he tested positive for coronavirus following a recent trip overseas. His unsuspecting wife believes he was away in the UK on business when he caught the virus, but in reality, he was on a secret break in Italy with his mistress. The unnamed man, said to be in his late 30s, has revealed to public health coordinators in the north of England the truth about how he picked up the bug. The man is described as well-heeled with a high-flying job. Ooh. Excuse me. He is said to have told doctors that he was with another woman but has refused to name her. Due to his condition, his wife is currently self-isolating at their lavish home. Ooh. Tell you what. So far, COVID has managed to get people who were on the run. They've caught mobsters, and now we're catching cheaters. Ooh. Does a pandemic fare well with people who are trying to lie or hide things? Sounds like it doesn't. Oh, I guess I can understand that. I mean, if you live in an area where the COVID ain't, and you were supposed to go to a place where the COVID wasn't, and all of a sudden you catch it, the question is how? And is that man's wife suspecting something's up? Yeah, right, Carlos. The next thing will be extraterrestrial aliens or zombies just to stop Trump's re-election. At this point, I'm not going to get political, but I've had an interesting time with all of the... Biden is right now in his basement doing, I guess, weekly podcasts, and he's digging himself such a hole that I think they're going to be scared when it comes time for him to actually have to go to a debate. If you think about it, would you want someone who is known to not be able to keep on topic and is known to not be capable of coming back quickly, making big mistakes on the stage against someone like Trump? I think it will be very interesting come debate time. And I've heard people say, oh, they're not going to be able to do debates. They can do debates. They can get away with doing debates without audience. But I think even the Democrats would be upset if they didn't do debates. Because we need to hear how those that we are electing can stand up to a simple ridicule and simple debate. If you can't stand up to that, how are you going to stand up against other world leaders? That's what I would be asking. But yes, the COVID has so far managed to catch criminals, thieves, mobsters, wanted, and now cheaters. I love it. All right, let's go on to some... Now, I thought this was a fun story. In Japan, they in the aquariums, and in fact a lot of aquariums around the world, they allow the penguins to walk around after hours to let them out and kind of just spread themselves out. A Japanese aquarium has come up with a wild idea to entertain the public during its temporary closure due to the COVID outbreak, introducing sea animals to each other and sharing the results online. A group of 8 penguins at Yokohama Sea Paradise near Tokyo regularly waddle around inside the aquarium, and now they have a new stop, a tank of seals they had never met before. They're not actively trying to get to know each other, but I'm sure they're interested in each other. And as you look, they actually sit there and go back and forth. They see each other. It's interesting. They're both really cute, so we decided to let them see each other, film it, and share it on social media. Museums, zoos, and aquariums remain closed as a nationwide state of emergency is in place in Japan until the end of May, which we're at the end of May, thank goodness. Penguins at the aquarium stroll from up to 20 minutes regularly, a routine in place even before the pandemic, as they need more exercise. And they need to experience some variety from time to time so that they do not get bored. We want to increase the quality of life for these penguins. Sea Paradise has also introduced an otter to a beluga, 2 of their most popular animals. Aquarium keeper Nagomi Sato said she posts their videos hoping they will offer healing and relief stress for those stuck inside due to the virus. You know, when you think about it, places like aquariums and zoos are hurt by this. They do depend on those fees that come in to pay for the food, to pay for staffing, cleaning, all the things that go along with taking care of these animals. And all of a sudden, for a couple months, they haven't had that. So I'm also going to suggest, when you're allowed to get out, consider going to an aquarium or zoo. Something that relies on fees, relies on donations, like even a museum. These are places that we kind of take for granted. When you got kids, you go to aquariums, you go to zoos, you go to things like that. But when you get older, you forget, your kids are in high school, college, you forget about that stuff. Well, help out other people's kids. Get some, donate or go see it again. Or take someone, take your, if you've got a daughter or a son who has kids, take them to a zoo, or send them money for a pass to go to a zoo or something. These places rely on us giving money to them. Right now, we're starting into summer. How many places rely on summer tourists and summer vacations? And we're not fully opened up. We need to remember this and pitch in. Go be active when you can. Do things that when you can. Just because these places kind of rely on it. They rely on the income. The campgrounds I'm going to, they lost about a month of revenue. And that wasn't good. They've even said it, that, they had to do some upgrades according to the state this last year, and they have to keep their costs down with us to keep us coming. but at the same time, they were on track to recover their costs until COVID. Now they're not sure. This is the type of stuff that is going to be seen all around. Like Koz said, he knew of a restaurant that opened right before they declared a shutdown. These places are going to need us. Don't forget about them. Scruffy shoppers. Oh, I better do this. Hold on. Scruffy shoppers welcome reopening of Europe shops. Brussels. Queues of shoppers, many with unkept hair or beards, formed in parts of Europe on Monday as more countries further eased antivirus lockdowns. Social distancing rules are still in place, and in Belgium, a public transport strike disturbed the cautious reopening, but some businesses restarted. In Istanbul, barbers set to work taming the unruly beards that lockdown men have grown during their confinement. Let me see what Dad sent a funny meme of bears sitting at a picnic table wondering where all the campers went. Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, I've covered that, Stephen. There have been a lot of animals coming into towns because there isn't the traffic. There's not the people to keep them away. And they're actually, some of them are looking for food because they're actually used to us giving them food. Anyway, the value of barbers have been very well understood. People have had longer beards. Some of them got their wives to trim them. Some bought machines. Nobody can do our profession. It is one of the most difficult professions. Men were wandering on the street with inappropriate hair. We are now correcting them. We have booking until the evening. Tomorrow will be the same. Where we are 4 barbers in the salon, and we'll be working on a rotating basis. I did that. I wanted people to think about that. All the people, like Koz said, when he finally was able to get a haircut 2 months ago, or a month ago. Okay, he got a haircut today. I have yet to get a haircut at a barber shop. I'm doing my own. Not everyone could do that, and I couldn't imagine that. That has to be a pain in the butt. It gets itchy. You're not used to it. It's not fun anymore, you know? So we're at a Boy Scout camp in the Cascade Mountains of Oregon. We had issues with bears before I went into the Army. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. So no, we're looking at all these things opening back up. Now you know what what you take for granted. You take for granted the simple things. Being able to go and get your haircut whenever you want is one of them. Going to the grocery store without a mask. Being distant from people. These type of things, we don't think about those things. Maybe we should. Because to me, I was very happy that I remembered I had clippers. I couldn't imagine letting my hair go that long. I'm not that person. Some people are, I'm not. Drives me bananas. And there are some people that had to. They had no other way to do it. Something to think about. Let me go. I'm going to get past. 100-year-old Russian beats coronavirus. Russia celebrated a rare bit of good news on Wednesday as a 100-year-old woman left a Moscow hospital after fully recovering from the COVID virus. In the country's first reported case of a survivor that old, the woman was discharged on her 100th birthday, the Moscow clinic treating her said. Russia television showed the elderly woman wearing a face mask and clutching a bouquet of red roses as she exited in a wheelchair surrounded by doctors and journalists. She had contracted the virus from a fellow patient at another hospital where she had been receiving routine treatment. After testing positive and developing several symptoms, she was transferred to the Moscow Brain Center, which normally specializes in stroke victims, but had been repurposed to treat coronavirus patients. Interesting. The hospital said she was the first Russian centurion to have fully recovered from the virus. She turned out to be a tough old lady. And let me get a real... That would be... Give me a second. I'll give you a picture of her. That says a lot. My wife performs a halfway decent cut. Yeah, a lot of us found out how good our significant others were good with the clippers. Although I'm sure wives were not going to let their husbands touch their hair. Dave, I'm sad to say you're probably right. Dave is saying that he thinks that the whole state of California may go ahead and declare martial law. It wouldn't surprise me if it is declared. That is the problem. Martial law has a way of bringing out the worst in people. Nobody likes being told they have to stay at home. We found that with the shutdown. Then on top of it, you're being told some places are opening up or getting into these phases, and now all of a sudden they're being told, no, you can't be out. And unfortunately, this is how you instigate revolutions, is get people completely angry at governments. And this is what socialists and communists want. They want people to get angry at the government so that they can say, well, we need a new government. And you can trust me. No, it's California that's doing this. It's not the federal government. And California is allowing it because at that point, once you declare martial law, it's actually hard to come out of that. And you can keep trying to do it for months on end. And then you can turn around and say, well, look, we managed to get crime down. Maybe you should allow us to have a stronger hand as government. Declaration of emergency has been called for LA County, and that's sad. I'm really sad to hear it. Unfortunately, it does happen. It's going to happen. Things are going to get very intense between now and November. Just watch it, okay? Be aware and don't let it stop you from being who you are. Okay. Clawing back normality. Bangkok Cat Cafe reopens after virus shutdown. As Thailand's capital cautiously reopens, many restaurants shuttered over coronavirus fears. The feline employees of the Catterday Cafe are back at work. The few dozen friendly cats typically lounge around the cafe, breaking up nap time to saunter over to human customers for snuggles and belly rubs. The friendly furballs give some, much needed outside contact for Thais who have mostly been confined to home during weeks of semi-lockdown and most non-essential businesses closed. Earlier, we could not go out anywhere, which makes us a bit stressed out. But since we can come to meet the cats, we feel more at ease and relaxed. Like other businesses across Thailand, the cafe has new rules aimed at curbing the spread of virus. Before entering, customers must have their temperature checked and wash their hands, and once inside, must wear a mask at all times. Actually, the number of customers is nothing like it used to be. Over 50% have decreased for both Thai and foreign customers. Arisa has a total of 50 cats of several different breeds, and around 35 of them rotate between her home and the cafe every now and then. As an extra precaution, the cats have dry baths, their fur brushed, and eyes cleaned every day. Thailand on Friday reported 8 new coronaviruses, but no deaths. That's not too bad. You know, this is something that I think I reported on, I think a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago. I actually talked to places that actually adopt cats out, and there is now waiting lists. There are waiting lists to get animals because people are... What is a dry bath? A dry bath is where they wipe a cat down with a cloth, so it basically gets off hand oils, Stefan. No, a lot of people, when they were told to shut in, even if they were working, because they couldn't do things, a lot of people ended up adopting animals. I actually go to a veterinarian who owns a... she has her veterinary service, and then in another part of the building, she has a grooming service and an adoption area. And all her cats were adopted out. Even the ones that had special needs were adopted out. I thought that was so spectacular. And the funny part was adoption agencies, and this was the first question out of my mouth, what's going to happen when the COVID is done and these people go back to work? And they said that's the first question they asked anybody who tried to adopt. And I talked to one of the bigger services here in town that does animal adoption. They said the same thing. They said that a lot of people realized that they needed something to come home to, and this just accentuated that. I found that was really nice. Think about all those animals, all of a sudden they have homes. It's really pretty cool. And yeah, over in Japan, they have a lot of people that are single, and a lot of people that... Over in Japan, touch is still very much a thing that they don't look good upon. Intimacy is still very, in some ways, taboo. And so having things like cats in cafes is very big over there. Having animals in cafes is very big because they found that people need to touch, and they need that touch back, and they're not getting it from humans. And that's the interesting part about this COVID virus. There are people that are having problems because they're missing touch. You know, it used to be you could shake a hand, you could come up and pat someone in the back, or go up and give a hug to someone. And now it's like, keep your distance. But you can hug a cat. You can pet a cat, and a cat will respond. Same thing with dogs. A dog will respond. And you can get away with it because they're not human, so therefore you don't have to social distance with them. I think that's interesting. And I think it's actually pretty cool if you think about it. Because I love animals. I really do. Animals, I think... I'm more inclined to worry about an animal than I am a human, because humans can fend for themselves 9 times out of 10. Animals can't. Because of the positions we put them in, they can't. So I tend to side on the idea of helping out the animal more than anything. So I was really happy to hear things like adoption agencies being able to get all their animals out. there are lists for dogs and cats now. I think that's really neat. I had mentioned that someone had actually gotten their phone number put out over over ESPN. I think this was interesting. Trevor Bauer's phone number leaked by ESPN on TV during a Korean baseball game. Cincinnati Reds pitcher Trevor Bauer will need to change his phone number as soon as possible. While being interviewed on FaceTime during an ESPN2 broadcast of a Korean baseball organization game, Bauer's phone number appeared above his head on the screen for everyone in the world to see. After his number was shared, he decided to have fun with the mix-up, offering a prize for fans who called his number. That's interesting. So, at ESPN has just leaked my number to truly the entire world. In honor of this, shall we call it, massive screw-up, I'm doing a giveaway, Bauer tweeted. I'll be giving away a pair of signed cleats and an autographed baseball over the next 48 hours. Rules are in my voicemail. Good luck. Well, that's kind of a good attitude. ESPN recently struck a deal with the league to air games while the Major League Baseball season has been delayed due to the coronavirus pandemic. I think that's a good attitude. He kind of took it with a grain of salt and made it something good. I just wanted to spend the weekend in Tokyo, but just ended up being a couple-hour layover. But if you ever get a chance, check out to a robot restaurant. Yeah, I mean, you always want to check out wherever you go, even if you're going to be there for a couple hours. If you can get out, it's always smart. I've tried to. I think that's something that a lot of people are waiting to see is sports. Sports needs to come back, not because, it's entertainment, which it is, but it's also a part of us. We all relate to it. At some point in our life, we relate to sports. It's something that says the U.S. is doing okay. It's moving. It's active. And it's not right now. And that bothers a lot of people. I mean, the one sport I told you that was active was the sport of eating, the eating competitions. But come on, you got to go a little further. What about, I think there are a lot of sports that are actually talking about going straight into finals. I think don't quote me, but I think the NHL said that they may go ahead and go straight into tournament as soon as they're allowed to, since most of their regular season was cut. They're going to go straight. They have to have time to get the players the ability to get back in shape and the teams to become cohesive. So therefore, by the time they get started, it would be normally time for tournaments. And they said that they may just go straight into them. I think that would be interesting if they could pick that up. And there's a couple other they're talking maybe some basketball might be put in, and football they're already talking about how they're going to make up the time so they can get things in full swing by the time football season fully comes around. I think that's going to be interesting to see how they put it together. This is going to be an interesting year. It will be definitely an interesting year. Here's something you don't hear about often. Doctor performs a CT scan on a man with back pain, discovers he has 3 kidneys. A Brazilian man with severe lower back pain recently showed something unusual in a CT scan. While his back pain resulted from a herniated disc, doctors saw 3 kidneys on the scan. The doctors from Hospital do Rim in San Paulo observed a normal appearing left kidney and 2 fused kidneys in the pelvis. Wow, okay. 3 kidneys are relatively uncommon, according to the report in the National Kidney Foundation. Discovery is usually accidental because it rarely causes symptoms. The condition may continue unknown until imaging is performed for another reason, as in this Brazilian patient's case. The ureter, a tube carrying urine from the kidney to the urinary bladder, from the left pelvic kidney joined the ureter from the other left kidney just above the entrance to the bladder, the report noted. The ureter from the right kidney, pelvic kidney, entered the bladder on the right side, like it's supposed to. The development of supernumerary kidneys is believed to occur as a result of abnormal process in embryogenesis or formation of the embryo. That's actually pretty cool. I mean, the fact that the kidneys work is actually pretty cool. Anomalies here and there are interesting to hear about, and I know that's kind of a weird story. Why would I throw that in there? It's just something to break it up and say that life still goes on. Things still happen. Discoveries are still happening as we go through the coronavirus. Just because life has stopped doesn't mean it really stops. Here's something that I found actually kind of funny. You don't think about it, but okay. How many of you had to leave or you went home and then you were told when you went home that you had to stay home? Banana rotting in desk drawer during coronavirus shutdown, making me feel anxious, employee tweets. Can you imagine? With millions throughout the world working from home amid coronavirus shutdown measures, one thought likely absent from people's mind is what perishables left behind might be rotting away in empty offices. Now this kind of caught me funny because I sat there going, okay, how many of us were caught off guard? The governor just declared a shutdown, or all of a sudden your company went, we can't risk it. And they didn't give you a chance to go in and clear out your desk, and you left some perishables. How many people did that happen to? And you have to laugh about it because you're like, wow, you wouldn't think about that. How many people are sitting there going, oh my God, I left a banana, or I left a tomato, or I left a sandwich. And think about it. Now, and even one step further, refrigerators keep things cold and fresh. But even in a refrigerator, things go bad. How many of those refrigerators have things that are going bad in them? Because people have been away for a month or two. The odors that people are going to walk into the office to. Now, the funny part is my wife, where she's working, they actually have a couple people that are still in the office. So that's not a case. They actually made sure that things like that got taken care of. But how many places did they just flat out shut down? That, to me, is going to be funny. It's like all of a sudden you walk back and, people are going, oh, whoa. Or worse yet, the drawer managed to keep the smell tied in. And the minute that door comes open, woof. Things like that are going to be going on all over as we start opening back up. Got to have a sense of humor when you think about that. You really do. You got to have a sense of humor. Have there been there, done that? We had a layover many years ago, and I got flown up to a site where everyone was walking out. Oh. Was locked out. See, this is what we still... You got to have a sense of humor when you think about things like this. When we open up, We're going to have to get back into our routines. We're going to have to get back driving to work in traffic, something that not quite a few people haven't had to deal with. Over the next couple weeks, you're going to see people frustrated. Remember this. They're frustrated and they're overwhelmed. Try not to be a part of that. Yes, Albert, I changed the background photo. We're going to be going through a transition where people went from being a normal routine of busy, traffic, crowds, to not busy. Hardly anybody on the streets. You could throw a baseball down the street and hear it thump because it was so quiet. To where you're going to start hearing traffic, you're going to start seeing traffic, you're going to start seeing people again. This can make people anxious, including you. Remember this, so that when other people show that anxiety or that anger or frustration from it, try not to become an agitator. Try to just smile and say, "It's okay, man. It's, you'll make it through." Because sometimes that's all someone needs to hear. We're getting to that point where a lot of things are opening back up. And a lot of people have to get used to working again, to being around people again. And you're going to see people grimacing. You're going to see people with frowns on their face. Try not to be one of them. You always hear me when I say goodbye, say, and remember to smile, because you just don't know who you're going to help, including yourself. I really mean that. Remember to smile. Put a grin on your face, because sometimes people just have to see someone else smiling to remind them. Heath requesting a prayers, good vibes, juju for a friend who is having a baby. Got it. You got it, Heath. Everybody put good energy towards Heath. These are the things we're going to have to start thinking about over the next couple weeks and months. How do we want to come out of the coronavirus? And how are we going to be seen? I personally don't want to be seen as... I want to have a smile on my face. I'm going to try to help everybody else remember that they can smile too. And maybe you can do the same. All right, everybody, we are at the end of our show. So it is time for housekeeping. Coming guests on the 2nd of June, a Tuesday, we have comedian Adam Keyes. Army veteran and AAA amputee comedian Adam Keyes will be on Pop Culture Tuesdays to tell us his remarkable story and how his hard work and dedication helped him succeed as a comedian. Adam has also known to have participate in marathons and is a great speaker, inspiring and helping veterans to succeed as well. And that's something that we can all use as a little inspiration. So tune in on Tuesday. You might enjoy that. All right, everybody. We have shows. We have shows on Monday, the Monday Night Edition with Ice and Flash. We have Tuesday shows with Pop Culture Wear with CQ and Radar. Wednesdays is our Danza or Meditation Day. Thursdays are Sergeant's Time with Ice and Spanky. And then you have Sundays, Kicking It Koz with Koz and Owl, which is me. All right, everybody. We've come to the end of another show. My words of wisdom for the evening is try to find a positive thought before you go to bed. And carry that positive thought with you. Even if it's simply, I know I'm going to make it another day. Because then you can build off that thought tomorrow. positive thought for the week is remember to smile. Because at this point, people need to see that smiling is a possibility. All right, everybody, I'm going to say what I always say. Remember, keep it simple, keep it real. Remember to smile, because you just don't know who you're going to help, including your own self. All right, everybody, I love all of you. Thank you for showing up. We will be back on Sunday with Kicking It with Koz. Try to help yourself, help those around you, and above all else, remember you are the top 4% of the United States because you answered the call when everybody else decided to do something else. I love you all. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Shots.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.